What's up? We're back. The PvP. We've got the full trio here together. My co-host, Mr. Jamroth, 5-1 DSM. What's up, brother?
Woo! You guys feel that? Do you feel that in the air? There's a dark storm coming, and we got our sights set on playoffs for the first time in 6 years. We're
Oh, yeah.
feeling good, Captain.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have our producer, Mr. Christopherson. How are you, sir?
What's up, fellas? Not good over here in Granite City. All I can say, better than 0-6.
So you do
But
not
no,
feel vindicated.
No.
With on that note, we'll get into the standings here. We've got a lot to get to, so rather than do a week recap of last week, we'll just jump into the standings and kind of talk about the last 6 weeks. Let's start at the bottom with Joe's team. Couple of names, no wins. Tough start. What do you think, Pat?
I mean, there's not much to say about this team. It was poorly constructed. He had one bad injury with Pacheco, and it's just gone downhill. I mean, I'd have to look at week over week, but overall score and it's low. It feels like every time you look at his matchup, his opponent's projected to win by 25 plus after like 230. So, we'll see. I'm rooting for him to make some wins, make it interesting, make Dap sweat a little bit, but it's tough to feel anything about that roster right now.
Yeah. We'll get to one of the trades he made or the big trade he made earlier too. That didn't help his cause, but right up in front of him is, as you mentioned, Dappy. Familiar territory. I don't know. I mean, the squad isn't horrible, but it's just that hasn't seemed to come together for him. Some bad luck here and there, with the Puka injury, but Tyreek, with Tua going down, it just feels like things haven't gone his way, and that's just how things seem to go in this league. So I don't know what else there is to say on that, honestly.
Yeah, it's just Dappy making Dappy decisions, though. It's like no one in the world knew who Theo Johnson was. Dap rolls him out last week. He's rolling out the two Bengals starting RBs like it's Kamara and Ingram a couple of years ago.
Right?
There's a lot of holes in that roster. You feel like if Dap's going to get a win, it's going to get a win scoring 95 to 100 points max. There's that guy. As much as everyone wants to root for him, you see him put a draft together, and it's like, is this the year for Dappy? He's right back there competing for the clown suit.
We'll give you a chance to chime in, Dap, if you
Yeah,
want.
just feels like, everything turns on its head for me. Puka's supposed to be fine, goes down. Tyreek Hill, great week one. Tua goes down. Think I finally make a good trade. Devin Singletary is supposed to just have a tweaked groin, ends up being out 2 weeks, and Tyrone Tracy comes and takes his job, basically. Get rid of the shitty Amari Cooper, and now he's on the Bills. Got Josh Allen slinging him that ball. Just feels like one of those years. Nothing going right. Don't expect to make playoffs, just fighting to stay out of that dress 2 years in a row.
That's a tough mindset to have, but
Tough
I
place
really,
to be in week 7.
When you're when you're 1-5, there's not much else place to be.
I know, but I just got a little impressed for you there. Anyways, we'll move on to the 2-4 teams, T-Mac and Kirch. Um, both these teams, I wouldn't say they're dead. They got a shot. I just don't know if the potential is there. I mean, Kirch has Henry and Lamar, obviously, to carry his squad. And, Keenan Allen put up some points early last week, but there's not much depth on that squad unless CMC and Cup can come back and kind of just form a four-headed monster there for him. So he's definitely not dead, but he's going to need things to break his way. And then C-Mac, even more so. So what do you got there, Ross?
I completely agree on the Kirch sentiment. I mean, two top heavy guys, but I mean, so many holes in that roster right now. With C Mac, I mean, on paper, I kind of like that squad. It's got some good pieces. I feel like week in and week out, it's projected on paper to be pretty productive, but I feel like it doesn't produce, and that's just the reality of the situation. And the whole I want to address this narrative. You look at that number 710. It's a lot. I mean, Joe's up there. Then I think besides those two, the next closest is me, almost 100 points below. But I mean, there's a whole lot of context to come into that. The game against me, C-Mac lost. I think he was second or third highest scorer. Obviously deserved to win. But
Yep.
last week, Sheehan put up a lot of points and C-Mac put up 59. Another week, someone else put up a lot of points. C-Mac put up like
I
82.
almost beat him
So
by
it's
100 points.
yeah, it's like, sure, yeah, Caleb really ran up the score, but you were beating only one other team that week. So, I don't really want the pity party for C-Mac right now. I think, his team isn't terrible. It's not, he could make a little run, but, I feel like he's grabbed onto this narrative, teams going off on me, and that's the reason I lose, which when you look at a team like Dim, that's not his excuse. He understands it's just a poorly constructed team. So, but I give C-Mac a better chance of making a run and getting back into it than Kirch. I think Kirch pulled trigger on that um, cup and CMC trade just way too early.
Yeah. Cup might play this week. I mean, that's interesting because I think C-Mac's got a more balanced roster. I think Kirch has more upside. So I give Kirch a little more of a chance, but fair to see you giving C-Mac a little bit more of a chance. 3-3 teams, I feel like it's pretty obvious who's got a better chance out of the two of them. Nothing against D Brown's team. He's hung in there well. But Lane's team is clearly very solid and probably feels like he could have a better record, at least 4-2, maybe even 5-1.
For sure. CDAP had us do power rankings. I don't know if he's going to show it in the graphic or not, but I had Lane 3 after the 2-5-1, the 2 deserving 5-1 team, should I say? But yeah, the Bakers are fighting. They're putting together a roster. We were talking before we started recording. A lot of backup RBs coming into positions. He's going to make his trades, but right here, right now, I'd be shocked if the ACL tears aren't in the playoffs. That's just a really solid roster from my perspective.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously got a lot of help today, right? With Cooper, Adams, both moving, better offenses. I think Breece Hall with the new play caller there for the Jets, much better outlook. Getting Devontae, I think, helps him just in terms of a better offense and being able to move the ball and score touchdowns. But I just don't know how I feel about the depth. I mean, he's got Downs at wide receiver. But if things, CMC comes back and Mason kind of goes away, a couple other things happen. I feel you on having the tears where you do, but I do have I have him 5th in the power rankings. Ahead of the Bakers.
Oh, wow.
I think the other two teams right there are Sandman and Sheehan. And I think just the fact that they have 1 and 2 games up on Lane, for me, that's why I have Lane still a 5th, but 3, 4, 5 is really close. So I think it's been a good playoff run. What do you think of those next two teams?
I like, as much as it pains me to say this, I like Sandman's team. I think historically, a guy who's gotten bullied on the trade market, he's made some solid trades to improve his team. I think he realized A Rich wasn't it, and he flipped a guy that D Brown just dropped into waivers this morning, and he established, hey, Brock Bowers is and his stock probably went up even higher with Adams leaving, but Brock Bowers is a very productive tight end one, and let me get Montgomery, and it's just like that Lions offense is, you just want as any piece of the pie you can get, and Montgomery is going to get any rushing attempt inside the 5. It feels like 75% of the time it's Montgomery over Gibbs. So, and touchdowns are big in fantasy. So I like Sandman's team. I've been pretty vocal about it. Sheehan, he's got a good roster. I think there's been no luckier team, and it's clear with points for, points against, but just week in and week out. I sent this blurb Sunday night. He hasn't had a team score more than like 85 points against him. Like that is just crazy. Sure, a few of those weeks he probably deserved to win, but I think he's more of like a 3-3 team than a 5-1 team. And he's gotten healthy. He's got the right pieces coming together right now. The Wilson news hurts, but it's a good team. The performance hasn't been there. It feels like a Colin 2.0 where it's a good team and the performance hasn't been there. He's just been sneaking out win after win. So if I had to say, there's a over 500 team right now not to make playoffs, I'd put my money on the Knights over any of the other three.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I got Sheehan at 4 and Sandman at 3. Sheehan being 5-1, but I do think it's going to be an interesting race for the playoffs, and of course, me and you, we have it 1-2, but I'm not saying I'm guaranteed there. We got to stay the course, sure. Right? So Sheehan, what I do like about his team is his wide receivers, right? A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Dave Flowers, Brian Thomas. Like, that's a solid six.
It's deep.
Running back, he could run into trouble. If the Panthers go back to Bryce Young potentially, and then Brooks comes back, him and Chuba are just kind of killing each other. Joe Mixon can't stay healthy. It could be interesting. Could get dicey for Sheehan. I think someone's going to put up triple digits. Bold prediction at some point this year.
It'll happen.
1-2. I think most people would have to agree. It's probably me and you. I've got myself a 1. You've got yourself a 1, obviously.
Oh, it should be.
And just 2 dogs. Of course, you've been more consistent. I'll give you that in terms of scoring. I had that 1 week where I kind of blew up. I think we're within like 10 points of scoring, but you've got 3 highest scores, solid squad. Good to see the boss back in contention here.
Hey, man, feels good. It feels good. But, I mean, we're not taking victory laps. 5-1 could easily become 5-5. Especially with the Valley and people in week out. I'm a man of honor and I'm not going to burn up C-Mac shit. We got that really lucky win last week against Kirch where we were probably 3rd or 4th lowest scorer and scored 85 points. But we feel good. It feels like it's, back to the Valley heydays when it was 2 biggest rivals going at it. I think we only have 1 matchup next week, so that should be, pay-per-view type material, but I'll talk about your squad. It's what we thought going into the year kind of came true with just how deep you are at running back, but no one saw how deep you were at wide receiver. I think that was like the difference of Neighbors number 1 until he got hurt. Terry McLaurin, no one saw the whole Jaden Daniels becoming just a machine, and even like Deontay Johnson, Addison, like real solid flex plays. So I think the big concern with the Bloodies is QB. Kyler's not it. I would assume the Bloodies probably hit the trade market pretty soon, but definitely a solid team.
Yeah. I mean, after week 1, I'm like Deontay Johnson, Terry. I don't know, man. 2 young, maybe not so great situations, and boom, they both have come along, and obviously Nico and Neighbors both solid. So we like where we're at. Got to keep fighting. So let's do best moves. What was your best move so far? We were talking pre-show. There haven't been that many great waiver claims or like obvious like home run waiver claims.
Yeah, Dap asked us to do like best fab spending. So I went through fab for 20 minutes and nothing really stood out to me. I did like C-Mac with $2 spent on Darnell Mooney. He's a real solid flex option. I feel like he's got a good connection with Kirk Cousins right now. I highlighted some of the trades that Sandman made. I mean, he did give up Kittle for Montgomery. That's probably a pretty fair trade at this point, but the Burrow one stood out. There's probably a few trades that I just can't think of the top of my head. The the Bakers have made, a couple trades that he's probably lost and a couple trades that he's probably won. That's just D Brown for you as an owner. What was the DAP trade? I mean, it's hindsight with the the Diggs trade that Dap did, but yeah, all in all, there hasn't been that waiver wire pickup that you're like, oh, Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua week 1 last year, just ones that like win the league. And people spending fab every week, but it's nothing stood out as like that's the move that's just completely, changed the team's outlook.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think people last year felt like they didn't get enough of a jump, and now this year it's kind of like there hasn't been much to jump on. But for me, I actually had a $0 claim as my like that could be a potential league winning move, and it was Sandman picking up Wilson, the backup running back for the Packers. He's really carved out a role for himself, looks solid, and of course he has Jacob, so it's a nice handcuff, and he also has some standalone value. So I thought that was a nice pickup. It just goes to show
Isn't
you.
he on IR?
No,
Oh no, that's the
that's
other one.
Marshawn
Sorry.
Lloyd. Yeah.
Okay, so Sandman's got all 3 Packers running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't have another guy hurt, keep holding on to Lloyd makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I think Lloyd is not going to touch the field much. Once I think Wilson has clearly shown he deserves to be the 2, and if Jacobs does get hurt, he's gotten a lot of wear and tear over the years. That's a great offense. I think Wilson could become a top 5 guy. Worst move for me, actually, one other real good move I liked a trade was Sheehan picking up Brandon Ayuk from Dimmer. It really hasn't paid off that much at this point because Ayuk has kind of looked not that great, but I just feel like that was getting rid of Ramondre was probably a good move, and then picking up Ayuk.
Yeah, I still think there's the Ayuk's going to turn it around. He's probably going to find the end zone. So I do like that. But right now, I'd say it's Ramondre's had a few good weeks. So he did have that stinker right away. So, but yeah, all in all, it's Sheehan probably won that trade.
Maybe I just like Ayuk too much and hate Ramondre, but that might be a biased take. But what do you got for your worst move, or did you already hit that?
I didn't. So I mean, I didn't like Justin Fields for $25. I mean, he's got some Russian value, but that was a lot to spend, I think, by CMAC. The one, I think I just highlighted the Baker's fab spending early in the year. I think it was $30 on Tank, which Tank's coming together. He could, friggin' throw up a big number against me in the morning game this week. But
You're
Gabe Davis, $20. And then there was one other guy that he spent 34 on that I was looking at today that I don't think he's on his team anymore. And I don't think, and the one that gets me is, so that's what, $74 he spent on 3 players. And I think the next closest bid, I want to say Gabe and Tank, no one bid anything. And then this third player that I can't remember, someone bid like $7. So I mean that's going to happen. You're going to overbid if you want your guy. You're going to go get him. But here he is. He's I think week 4 he lost his money. So it's just handcuffing a team that's trying to make a comeback that started the season slow, and some of these players aren't even on his roster anymore.
right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of honestly just thought a lot of those were just there haven't been like we talked about. There hasn't been a lot of spending, and the most clear overspends have I think all 3 of them have been by D Brown, or at least 2 of the top 3. So have to agree with you there.
It was Roshan that he added for 34.
Yes, it was Roshan. Yes, I mean, he traded him. He got some value. I forget who he even traded him for, but the next closest bid was like $7 or something like that. So,
Got traded for Goddard.
we then flipped for. I mean, D Brown's roster is just always turning over. That's just
It's hard
the
to
D
keep
Brown
track of.
way.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's got by far. He's already got like 30 moves made, I think. The next closest is 16.
Damn, that's wild. All right, should we do over under and then get into week 7 outlook and predictions here?
Let's do it.
All right, my over homer pick Trey McBride 9.7. I don't think MH3 or MH whatever they call him is going to play. Mercedes Marv, he's probably out. McBride was getting fed once he went out in the second quarter. And, he gets 5 catches, 70 yards. He's pretty much right there. So high chance he gets a touchdown too. I mean, they are facing the Chargers, who have a good defense, but I just like McBride a lot. I think he's getting double digits. Who'd you pick,
I mean,
Ross?
yeah, that's a good target share. Definitely a homer pick. I had to give some love to Joe's team. I feel like if he does listen to this, which might be highly unlikely, just the way the season's been going, um, Kelsey's bound to find the end zone, right? Like, I mean, look at those targets those last couple weeks since Rashee Rice has gone down, 19. I want to say he's gotten tackled inside the 5 a couple times. You coming off a bye, coming off date night all over New York City with Taylor Swift. I just feel like Reed wants to get his guy a touchdown, and he'll draw up whether it's the little flip pass or some bullshit touchdown, and he'll go past that 10 total pretty easily. So we're
I'm gonna
both
bet
going tight
that.
ends.
I think I'm gonna bet that because I'm facing Joe, and I'm like, that's definitely what's gonna happen now. So I might as well just hit the anytime tutty for Kelsey just to get something out.
Definitely cash in. If
Yeah.
I had to pick two that are due, it'd be Kelsey and IU. I could see them both. Little two-man parlay anytime. Probably some juicy odds.
Yep. Joe, if you are listening and you put that bet down and it loses, I'll reimburse $5 of it. That's a test to see if you're listening and if you have the balls to make that bet.
If I know Gambling Joe, he's going to take that offer without hesitation.
Shout out Gambling Joe. We'll see you on the gridiron this week.
And
I have
then, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say Jaden Daniels. Love Jaden. 25.2 is the number against the
It's high.
Panthers. That feels like they can at some point they're just gonna start running the ball. I don't I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be putting himself in harm's way too much. I think they're gonna be pretty comfortably up and kind of just moving their offense at will and being able to run the ball with the running backs. Hopefully Bryant is Robinson supposed to be back, Ross?
It's questionable.
He was limited today, which
Got it.
is progress.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
hasn't practiced on Wednesday in 2 weeks, so
They've got Chris Rodriguez, they've got Eckler, obviously. So I just don't know if 25 is reachable for Daniels. I mean, I think he's going to probably hit 20, but 25 is a lot.
it's high. Sometimes Mike Clay gets wild with these projections.
Yeah.
But I agree with Carolina being a bad rush defense team and just Commanders probably being in the lead. He's going to need the touchdowns to go his way. And I'm being a B-Rob owner, I feel like they run a lot in for the Commanders.
Agreed. Hit
But I'm
Terry
going
early
with
and then run the ball.
yeah. I'm going with the recent news going against the Knights. Garrett Wilson. I just feel like Devontae Adams was already in New York. I mean, he got traded yesterday morning, and then he appeared on Rogers' interview in his apartment. So it feels like this trade was happening, and they knew it. He already practiced today, so he was just faking an injury. Rogers is a little
Wow.
bitch. He's gonna feed his guy, and that's another guy you want to add to any time. Adams, you can just see him because that's what Rogers does. He force feeds targets to his guy. Like that's what he was doing to Wilson. Lazard was like his second option, and that was the only people getting the ball. And I just feel like Wilson, you look at those targets, 23, which is insane, and 10 over the last 2 weeks. I think it looks more like that Tennessee game where it's down to like 6 or 8. And I
He
feel like
really has been getting fed.
so I think I'm taking the under with G Wills.
Love it. All right. Week 7. Here we go. Where do you want to start? Pull it up, Dap. Let's do what's first on there, and we'll just go off that. Hey, Rocco. Rocco wants to say what's up to everyone on the podcast.
What up, Rocco?
Shout out Rocco for giving D Brown CMC.
True. All right, we got Ravens Nest Vindicators. I mean, this is really a big one. For both these teams. Ravens Nest still have a chance. Vindicators got to hope to get this one if they're going to string some wins together and stay clear, Joe Dim. What do you think, Ross?
I think it's sad that Dap's already calling it a season. I mean, I'm not surprised, but you get to 3-5. Tua comes back. Tyreek all of a sudden becomes a top 5 wideout again. Puka comes back. But it starts
But
starts with
getting to
this
three
one.
and five without those guys is
I
tough.
mean, I'm looking at the roster and I'm like, this week it's not terrible. Like, you got to think Miami coming off a bye, the talent that is Tyreek Hill, a couple more weeks for Huntley to get into the offense. Like, eventually, you just got to hit Tyreek deep on one, and it's gonna happen. Uh, I don't think Jonesy's gonna play. I don't know what his status was if he practiced today. Uh,
I don't think so.
Debo, so I don't love Kareem Hunt in that matchup. San Fran's D is playing pretty good, and I can see the Chiefs passing a little bit more. I don't love I talked about liking C-Mac's team. I don't love it this week. I'm going with the upset. I think the Vindicators. I think the Texans Green Bay could become a nice little shootout for the Dap Man. I
Yeah.
think Kamara probably gets a lot of touches tomorrow night, maybe finds the end zone. And we're going with the upset. Go Vindicators.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. This is such a week to week league this year. It feels like there's a lot of parity in the NFL itself. So teams can have real good weeks and then real bad weeks, like boom, boom. So that can lead to a team feeling real good one week and then the next week bunch of tough matchups and not looking nearly the same. What do we got here? What's the next one, Dappy? Trippers Knights. Yeah, I think this is a big one, right? Because the Knights haven't. I mean, can someone put up more than 85 against the Knights? And can the Knights keep plugging along and stacking up W's? And especially without Cup, most likely, and definitely without CMC, the Trippers need this one. I think. They got to do
It's a
something.
tall task.
Yeah, it's a tall task. I mean, Sheehan's got a solid squad, like we talked about, with the wide receiver depth, and for now, those running backs, Chuba and Mixon, look real solid. So yeah, I got to give it to Sheehan, but I think it's going to be close. It's a big game for both these teams. Could spark a run going either way for either team. So keep an
Oh,
eye on this one. I think it's going to be a dogfight.
I like it. The one comment I will make is I almost picked Shakir on over. I think his projection is like 6 points right now. Um, Cooper will play and he'll get some touches, but I still think Shakir has a good role carved out in that offense with Allen and being like the underneath, almost kind of like running a lot of like Diggs' old routes. So I think Shakir can spark the trippers a little bit, but it's going to be a tall task.
I like that. Yeah, I don't think Cooper and Allen are going to have nearly the connection that Rodgers and Adams do week one or their first week together, I guess.
For sure. This is a
Hair,
big
salmon,
one.
break it down.
Wow. Wow. I mean, we're talking about, I think they were 3 and 4 on both of our rankings. Maybe you had them at 5, but this is just projections. This is a big matchup. Sandman had a big one last week. Schedule doesn't get easier. He's got the tiers coming to town. Um, I mean, kind of on the last point, Cooper's going to get the start. I don't know if it's going to pay off as much as it does. I do think the Adams probably will. James Conner has been real hit or miss. Like I don't know if I would start him. I think that's probably dependent on if Mason plays or not. Brees Hall seemed to get his mojo back a little bit, but I mean they've been using Braylon Allen a lot at the goal line, which could come back to bite the tiers. You look at Sandman's team. I think the guy that needs to step up for the Sand is Jacobs. I mean, he's getting touches. He's in one of the best offenses in the league. There was a few times where guy like Romeo Dobbs just snuck in the end zone, and if not, those are probably Jacobs touchdowns. But I think for Sandman to win this matchup, make the jump back up into the top tier, he needs Jacobs to come together. And I think all in all, I'm giving the edge to Sandman. I don't love what just the new teams, they might be on snap counts type
Yeah.
situation. We even talked about Jaden Daniels maybe not playing in the last 20 minutes of the game because they're up so big. I think Sandman's going to take this one in a tight one.
It's going to be a good one. There's a lot of good matchups, on paper this week. Should be a lot of close ones. All right, DSM Bakers. I mean, this. Of course, you got a solid squad, so it's going to be tough, a big task for the Bakers with Walker and Dobbins. I like both of those matchups. Dobbins is going against Arizona, and their defense in general is just really not great. Jefferson coming off the bye against Detroit. Detroit's not anything special in the secondary. I think they're better than they were last year, but with Hutchinson going down, I think that might be a
Could be a
shootout.
shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Godwin, I think again could be a shootout. That Tampa Bay offense is really good. It's one of the most underrated teams in general, but offenses especially in the league. And of course, Baltimore, they know how to score. So that again, another shootout. Andrews, I don't know if I'd be rolling him out honestly, but whatever. And then Najee and Jameson. I heard someone I listen to a lot and have a lot of respect for say that was the best game they've ever seen Najee Harris play and the best they've ever seen him look. So I'm not a big Najee guy, but he's really looked pretty good this year and impressing people. So
They
even with
didn't stay
Harrison
up.
out,
They didn't stay up late on Sunday night the week before because he looked like he was running in mud.
hey, week to week league. That's what I'm saying,
Oh
man.
yeah.
And then on the Baker side, is Cook gonna come back? Is he gonna play well? Is he gonna play a lot? With coming off the injury with Richardson there, I mean that offense could kind of look a little rusty. Jaden Reed, he's looked really good. Laporta, a lot young talented player as well. Bigsby, same thing. Worthy, same thing. But yes, it's hard to give the edge to the Bakers here. I got to give it to Ross. And like you said, it's a projectable or a respectable projection for the Bakers, but you just have a much more solid team. I'm surprised the projection's that close, honestly.
Bigsby's got a big week ahead of him, I feel like, and Cook and Taylor, we'll see how the health progresses. A fun little aspect is I don't know what the NFL schedule makers do, but I feel like every single week I'm sweating out a W on Monday night. But between D Brown's got Baker going, and then
Yeah.
I got Godwin, Dobbins, and Mark Andrews. And if some miracle Marv gets out of protocol, we'll consider him in the flex. So it's going to be get your popcorn out and enjoy a show on Monday night.
Yeah. I mean, again, another good matchup here, but I like the match. I like the way that it lines up for you, to be honest. All right, one more game here, right?
Do you want it, Deb?
Pretty easy one if you ask me. I mean, first guy I've seen all year. I mean, maybe the Bakers early in the year when they had some issues, but projected under 90. I think actually me and Daryl were the only other two to do it in our matchup, but 87.8, 115.1. I mean, if I had to give an edge, like you guys did your power rankings, obviously each had each other or yourselves as number one, but I'd probably give it to Caleb. I do think he's got the best squad in the league with Neighbors and Achan coming back. I mean, Achan, who knows what he's going to be, but like even look at his bench, he's got TJ sitting there just waiting. I mean, he could be a stud on that Minnesota, but this week I think Neighbors comes out, tears up that secondary. Danny Dimes has been missing him. He's gonna feed him all day long. And then I don't I mean, with Achane back, Dim's rolling out Mostert. Dell did look good last week. I mean, the Nico injury got him his first touchdown of the year, but that's just a tough looking team that he's rolling
There's just a
out
lot of guys in that starting lineup that
there.
don't belong in starting lineups.
I mean, love my guy Wandale, but don't know if I'd be trotting him back out there. Cortland Sutton, I mean, a miracle catch gave him a good week last week, but I don't know if he's getting that again, especially on the Saints defense. And Mahomes and Kelsey just again, I mean, happened to see him the whole second half of last year, but they've just been very underwhelming this year. I mean, C-Mac said he finally picked him and he's sucking, but
Yep.
I don't know. Questionable trade for me. I mean, not looking like it right now with Dak throwing up three, but I think at least Dallas slings the football around.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, good week to face the JHG, man.
Last week, Dim made me sweat a little, thinking he might get a win, tie me, but I don't think I'll be sweating that one out this week.
Random one for you. Who's the worst quarterback, starting quarterback right now in the league?
Will Levis.
Like all of NFL.
All the NFL.
Or who's rolling out the worst starter.
No, I mean just all the NFL, like in terms of like a guy you don't want on that team right now. It's probably between Will Levis and Bo Nix for me. Trying to think who else would be up there, but
I mean Huntley, but like he's really a backup.
yeah. But just Cortland Sutton, the point I'm trying to make is that Cortland Sutton is a good player, but I just think that he's a deep ball guy and he's got Bo Nix slinging the ball. He's 2 for 10 with 13 yards at halftime or something like that. It's just a bad setup for Sutton.
I mean, the other one you could throw out there is Drake May.
The Raiders QB sucks.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Aiden O'Connell.
And Dim's got shares of that as well.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good wrap for the week, I feel like. Rocco's about done. He's ready to watch some Survivor.
Yeah.
Good to be back, boys. Good to be back. Any parting thoughts?
Storm's coming, boys. Get shelter.
All right. With that, Rocco's going to send us out. Peace, boys.
Peace.
This shit be like Friday nights. This shit made me feel alive. I feel like we